What's poppin', everybody? This is SaberWolf4, and I want to discuss new TCG mechanics that happen in every generation in both Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! So, Sword and Shield, the English TCG set, is going to be coming in February. What date exactly, I'm not too sure, but it should be early February, might even be the 1st of February. And with that, of course, we get the new gimmick, the new type of special Pokemon, the Pokemon V, which is pretty much like a Pokemon EX, Pokemon GX. The only difference is these guys don't have the GX attack, but they can evolve into Dynamax or Gigantamax versions of themselves, and we get things like 330 HP Lapras, 340 HP Snorlax, that kind of thing, that give out three prizes, pretty much kind of functioning like Tag Team GXs, but they're evolved Pokemon. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! We still don't know what the new gimmick is going to be, and I haven't really played any contemporary Yu-Gi-Oh! Since 2016. The last set I was involved with was Raging Tempest, and very minorly, if that's even a word. But I'm still interested in what happens with the TCG over there, and what are they going to do. What is the case with both Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe it's the case with other TCGs too, is that they feel like every generation they have to introduce a new gimmick, a new something, so that the game remains interesting. Now, in their mind, looking at it from their point of view, it does make a little bit of sense. You gotta keep the game exciting, introduce new stuff, change it around a little bit, but maybe not too much, in my opinion. And both Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, have been doing this since forever. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, is the opposite of Pokemon. They both do the same thing, but do it in a different way. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! It has the belief that it has to introduce something, and it has to be very major. Case with the pendulums, case with the links. Like every 3 years, they gotta introduce a new summoning mechanic or a new gimmick that completely flips the game around entirely. They're the extremists, you could say. Pokemon, on the other hand, I feel like they introduce something new just because they feel like, well, shit, we gotta introduce something, so let's do this Pokemon V thing and then hope that people don't realize they act like Pokemon EX and Pokemon GX, for example. It just seems like Pokemon TCG, every time it introduces something, it already introduced before, then they take it away, then they bring it back, kind of thing, change it a little bit, or they just give us stuff that just, so obvious. Like the Tag Team GX Pokemon, for example, what's that? Another basic Pokemon, a lot more HP, and instead of 2 prizes, they give up 3 prizes. So, not the most creative thing in the world. To be honest, the Sun and Moon era, bar a few mistakes in my eyes that they did with a bunch of stall cards and a bunch of really broken, unfair cards like releasing Marshadow and stuff like that, the Sun and Moon era as a whole was a very good era in my eyes. The GX Pokemon were pretty much the EX Pokemon from the original Golden Age. You could have Stage 1s and Stage 2s as well. And the GX attack was actually an original thing that we didn't have before. And that was really interesting when your opponent could use one GX attack, but they just had so many options depending on what kind of GX Pokemon they had in the deck. You never knew what was going to happen. So I felt that was a very good thing and an exciting thing. But with the Pokemon V, they pretty much have taken that away. And I guess maybe it makes sense to balance them out a little bit if these V Pokemon are going to be stronger and they're going to be able to Dynamax evolve or Gigantamax evolve or whatever the hell. But I feel like it's still the case of, okay, we did something good, we're going to take it away, and then release another thing that's pretty much exactly the same. Pokemon EX in black and white, they function pretty much like the GX Pokemon too, you could say. Give up 2 prizes, giant big Pokemon as well. And I just feel like Pokemon, what they do is like they feel like they have to introduce something, and that's kind of boring. In Sun and Moon, we also had, the Ultra Beasts. They had that kind of support, kind of functioning a little bit like the Team Plasma Pokemon, you could say, with their exclusive cards. Cards that benefit them, cards that straight up just counter only Ultra Beasts, and stuff like that. But what I want to see from Pokemon is something more like, let's say, Delta Species Pokemon. Why don't they do something like that? Or bring back maybe, varying weaknesses more, or bring back, weakness being times two. I get that, but maybe if it was plus certain damage, it will make things more interesting. I don't want them to keep doing this thing where they just introduce new Pokemon with more HP, and that's pretty much it. The V Pokemon, even though they're classified as, a different type of Pokemon, they can't use the support of GX, EX Pokemon, what have you. They're pretty much just going to be the same thing for the most part. Maybe they do some other stuff in the future, but from the Sword and Shield set, the stuff we've seen so far, it's just basically the V Pokemon. Some of them can Dynamax or Gigantamax evolve, and they basically act like Stage 1 Tag Team GX Pokemon with even larger HP. And that's it. They don't have any GX attacks, which is a bit sad, but maybe understandable. But it's just basically going one step back and just changing things up only in name, pretty much. It's just the brand changed, but they're still pretty much Pokemon EX and Pokemon GX in disguise, only slightly different. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though I haven't played since forever, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get back into contemporary Yu-Gi-Oh! I always think about it. Should I come back? It could be fun. It could be exciting. But it's the same thing when you break up with an ex, and then you're thinking about the good times. You get back together, and then you guys are still arguing. That kind of thing. I don't want to get into such examples, but it's the thing that if I get into it, I know that it's just gonna piss me off. It has changed and evolved, I guess, to a point where I don't really recognize it. With all these cards with so much text, with so many effects, so much broken stuff, all the rule changes, forcing you to use links since you can't play, more extra deck monsters. If you play the first one, you can't play other ones. You gotta get links out so they could point in directions where you can synchro summon and stuff. But I digress. But the point is, it just got me thinking that, Yu-Gi-Oh! We still don't know what they're gonna do, but they will definitely do something. They always do something because they introduced the links, and that sort of was the most drastic change, I would say, forcing people to having to play those to play any other extra deck monsters. It just seems like they have to do something that is centered around that, or they're gonna have to, ditch it completely or change it up completely, like what they did with the pendulums. I feel like when you introduce a new mechanic, you kind of have to make it count. You can't make it too broken because that's shit. But of course, you can't make it be so irrelevant that people aren't going to care about it. For example, the legend Pokemon in Heart Gold Soul Silver, a few of them did eventually see play and they were good game winning cards. But for the most part, nobody can say they had the impact of Prime Pokemon, EX Pokemon, Level X Pokemon, that kind of thing. So maybe you shouldn't go that route either. But at the same time, I feel like it's better to be subtle than being broken. So for Pokemon, even though they are kind of stale with their new mechanics, I think I prefer that overall because if the game doesn't change too much, then at least if you liked it before, you're probably still going to like it if you didn't get bored with it. Other stuff that we haven't seen in the Pokemon TCG for a while, it's recycling again, but better than nothing, I suppose, is a team sort of theme. Like Team Yell freaking sucks balls, but we haven't seen sort of a team mechanic since Team Plasma, and usually those kinds of concepts are pretty fun. The best ones was Team Magma and Team Aqua, of course. Team Rocket, the Team Rocket sort of archetype of cards were good. One cool thing they could do that they've never really done before, they're kind of doing it a little bit with some cards, but I think they need to focus on it more, is sort of trainer archetypes. Like, let's say you've got the Garchomp, the Lucario, and the Cynthia, they kind of work together. You've got Cynthia in the background arts of Lucario and Garchomp. Maybe they should do more of that sort of thing. Kind of like how the SP Pokemon used to work. Maybe doing stuff like that will be cool again. Delta species Pokemon, of course, that would be really good. That made things so fun and so creative when you have Pokemon that are double two different types and something different than their usual type. Like you had fire and metal type Tyrannodars and stuff. It makes for very diverse and creative deck building, and I think that's pretty fun. For Yu-Gi-Oh, to be honest, I really just want them to drop all this stuff, like drop the links. Maybe just make it so that you can play extra deck monsters like before, and the links, the little arrows don't count anymore and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I'm probably never gonna get into contemporary Yu-Gi-Oh again. But if there's even a chance, they need to quit with all these gimmicks and stuff, because the game is just too messed up for me. It has changed so much since when I used to enjoy it in the Zexal era, the 5Ds era. Like I even made it towards the end in Arc 5, but Arc 5 was just a hell to go through with all the bullshit with pendulums and kaijus and everything. But let's not get into that. So, I guess in summary, new mechanics, they're good. They're probably necessary for TCGs, but they gotta make them right. They gotta make them count, and they have to make them interesting, not too crazy, not too stale, and just something that is really exciting. Like when the first time we got Pokemon EXs, the first time we got Pokemon Level X's. Maybe they should bring that concept back, because at this point, Pokemon is just recycling its mechanics and then changing them up slightly, and Yu-Gi-Oh just brings up crazy shit that changes the game completely, does a 180. But anyways, this has been my random rant. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You can tell me in the comments what you think and what do you think is going to happen for the future. Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon are the only TCGs that I've played, and Duel Masters, the original Duel Masters. I really enjoyed that back then. Still love it to this day. But yeah, these are my thoughts. I don't know if other TCGs like Magic the Gathering follow this pattern, but they probably do. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this video with your friends. Thank you guys for watching as always, and what's up?